Okay, so get this. We're diving into a 1982 yearbook from Pocahontas County High School in West Virginia.
Ooh, 1982, going way back.
Way back, right, like Back to the Future level back in the day. And the yearbook itself is called The Warrior.
The Warrior. I like it. Already sounds promising. What kind of stuff are we talking about here?
Oh, all the classics, photos, clubs, activities, and even a last will and testament section where students left each other interesting things.
A last will and testament. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Gotta love a good yearbook tradition. It's like a time capsule of teenage humor and anxieties all rolled into one.
Exactly. But first things first, the cover. 3 photos of the school building, all done up in these vivid reds, purples, and blues. What do you make of those color choices? Just a sign of the times or something more deliberate?
Well, bold colors were definitely in during the early 80s, part of that whole design aesthetic. But red and blue, especially for a school, often harken back to that classic Americana feel, traditional values and all that. So maybe, even subconsciously, the yearbook staff was linking their local experience to a larger national identity. And the purple, that's where things get interesting. Purple can represent ambition, a touch of royalty even, maybe even a little mystery. Could be a hint about the aspirations these students had for their futures.
Ooh, I like that, a hint of mystery. Speaking of aspiration, let's talk about the tagline. The Warrior seems a little, intense for a high school yearbook.
The Warrior definitely makes a statement. It could be a nod to their athletic team, sure, but I think it goes deeper than that. Especially considering the early 80s were a rough time economically. We're talking recession, high inflation, the whole 9 yards. This was especially true for rural communities. So the Warrior, maybe it reflects the sense of resilience, of inner strength, that fighting spirit you need to overcome challenges and make something of yourself.
And speaking of challenges, the yearbook actually mentions how the tough economic times made it hard to fund the yearbook itself. Apparently, businesses outside of Pocahontas County had to cut back on advertising.
Yeah, that would have been a real blow to the yearbook staff. See, the early 80s recession hit rural America especially hard. Factories closing, unemployment on the rise, businesses everywhere had to make tough choices. And for those outside Pocahontas County, advertising in a yearbook probably felt like an unnecessary expense.
Which makes it even more incredible that the yearbook staff goes out of their way to thank the local Pocahontas County businesses for actually stepping up and increasing their contributions. That's a powerful statement about community, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It really highlights the importance of a high school in a place like that. It's more than just a school, right? It's the heart of the community, a symbol of its future.
Yeah.
By supporting the yearbook, local businesses weren't just buying ad space, they were investing in these kids, in their community's future. A powerful message, both for the students and the community as a whole.
Speaking of investing in the future, there's this photo in the yearbook of the computer the staff used. And let's just say it wasn't exactly a sleek MacBook Air. What kind of technology were we talking about back then?
We're talking about the very first personal computers. Probably something like an Apple II or a TRS-80. Now keep in mind, these machines had a fraction of the memory, processing power, and graphics capabilities of even the most basic laptop today. Can you imagine designing an entire yearbook with those limitations?
It boggles the mind, right?
Yeah.
And yet they still had that section in 10 years where students shared their dreams for the future. And some of these jobs they mentioned, like graphic designer or computer programmer, those fields were just emerging in 82.
Exactly. It makes you think, what did they envision for those careers? What did computer programmer even mean in those early days of personal computing? We take it for granted now, but back then, it was like peering into a future no one could fully grasp.
It's true. We're so accustomed to rapid technological advancements that it's easy to forget how much the world has changed in a relatively short time. Okay, we have to talk about this last will and testament section. Some of these are pure gold. Like one student left another heater to sit on. Classic high school humor.
Oh, absolutely timeless. And it paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? Another heater to sit on? You just know those classrooms were freezing, probably in an old building with a heating system on its last legs. It's relatable even decades later. And it's not just about the humor, it's about those small details that transport us back to a specific time and place. Makes you wonder,